Hey Thrivers, you're listening to episode 58. Today we are chatting with a special guest, Casey Brodley. Casey is a photographer slash videographer who began her career in Los Angeles working with a paparazzi agency and photographing celebrities, taking pictures at events featuring A-list stars. And then she got married and picked up her career and moved to Michigan to be closer to family. And she is now a successful wedding photographer in the Michigan area. And today she's going to be sharing with us about that transition, about what it's been like doing a career, becoming a mom, and building a successful photography business after moving from one side of the country to the other. We cannot wait to ask her questions, learn about who she's taken photos of, and which celebrities have been the most entertaining. And we're just so happy to have her on the show. So keep listening.
Welcome to The Thrive, a podcast for working moms. This is for all the women and moms listening. If you work from home, in an office, run your own business, or are the CEO of your family, this podcast is for you. Because at the end of the day, all moms are working moms. Rachel and Christine invite you to celebrate the victories, get advice, listen to their mom fails, and to know you aren't alone, to thrive in your everyday life.
Hey guys, this is Rachel.
And Christine.
We are super excited to have with us a really special guest. I'm going to let Christine introduce her because Christine actually went to high school with our guest on our show today.
She's so special. I am so excited to be joined by one of my very, very good friends from my hometown. We went to school together. We did all the things. Casey Brodley, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I am so excited.
I'm really excited too. It was really fun to hear from you and know that you had a podcast about working moms. And I don't know, I was really excited that you reached out to me.
Well, I have been following bits and pieces of your journey as a photographer and now being a new mom. And so I just knew we had to have you on to hear all about your story. So disclaimer, I'm a little under the weather. So if my voice sounds deep, that's what's going on here, but we'll roll with it. So
you should start like singing in lounge clubs or something.
You
Like,
sound,
really take advantage of
I was going to say, you sound like Luann. Housewives fans, you'll know who we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I haven't talked much today, so I saved it for you girls. Well, Casey, can you start just by sharing a little bit with our guests about who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. My name is Casey Brodley. I'm a photographer and videographer. I specialize in weddings, family portraits, and branding photography. And yeah, I just like being around people and making people laugh. And I really enjoy what I do.
Awesome.
Tell our guests where you're from and where you are currently.
So I'm originally from New Jersey. I grew up in a little town called Florham Park. I am currently near Detroit, in Metro Detroit in Michigan.
Okay.
And you actually went to school in a different area from both of those.
So I started out in New Jersey. I went to Savannah, Georgia for college. And then I had a small stint in New York and moved to Los Angeles. And then I moved to Michigan.
Nice.
That's
I remember
awesome.
you went to Savannah College of Art and Design because I'm pretty sure I had a t-shirt from there that must have been a gift from you. I don't know if I would have just bought it on my own, but
You were a very supportive friend.
And we had friends that would go to school not right in New Jersey. I mean, a lot of people did go to school in New Jersey or the tri-state area, but I just remember it being so neat that you went so far away, that you were pursuing this art passion that you had and doing photography and all those things. I just thought it was just so neat. So yes, very supportive.
That school is beautiful. Like we did a trip to Savannah a couple years ago and
It's
like no wonder people want to go to school here. I thought it was gorgeous and just the whole city itself. Whew.
Yes. Well, the city and the school are kind of like, it's unique because it's like one. Since the school started, it's been rebuilding. It's one of, I think it's still one of the only colleges that does historic restoration as a major. And what they do is they take the old buildings and townhouses that are downtown and they redo them. And they've really beautified that city a lot since the 90s or I don't know when it started, but definitely since the 90s, it was pretty rough.
Oh, that's really neat. I didn't realize that. I just know it seemed to be a big part of the city, and the city itself is just beautiful. And that was the first time we stayed at an Airbnb. So it was neat because like the place we stayed in was old fashioned and I just thought it was great. So I'm super jealous you went to school there, but tell me, how the heck did you end up in LA? And all I know is that Christine has told me that you have done like photos of like famous people. So I just want to hear all about the celebrities you've worked with.
You want to hear all about the celebrities? Yeah. Well, I don't have any like celebrity gossip to tell you. So I graduated from SCAD and I majored in photography and creative writing. And I'll just kind of tell you the whole journey. So I graduated in 2008, and during college, I interned for some magazines. And I don't know if you guys remember, but like every romantic comedy in the late 90s and early 2000s, like everything centered around someone working at a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And like so that was like the ideal to me. I was like, I'm going to work at a magazine. It's going to be so glamorous and awesome. And I'm going to live in New York and I'm going to walk the streets in high heels.
Yeah.
So tried, I had, interned at magazines. I had interned at Cosmopolitan and Maxim and MTV. So I was like, oh, I'm a shoo-in for getting a job. I interviewed at Good Housekeeping right when I graduated, and then I didn't end up getting that job. And then the housing market crashed and everyone was getting laid off and magazines were closing and I couldn't get a job in New York. So I went out to LA and I visited my best friend from college who lived in Los Angeles, and I kind of fell in love with it. It was like the polar opposite of New York. Everything was really spread out. It was this huge city. There was a beach. It was sunny in January, and I could walk outside in a t-shirt in January. I was like, what? I'm in heaven. So I decided to expand my job search to Los Angeles, and 2 weeks later, I had gotten a job there as a photo editor at a paparazzi agency. So I literally edited celebrity photos and sold them to magazines. What? That was my job.
Was it TMZ?
No, but we did sell photos to TMZ.
That's so cool.
And my French bulldog is a TMZ dog. A friend of mine was
remember that.
A friend of mine's coworker had a litter of puppies, and he invited us over to play with them. And then I got suckered into getting a puppy because she was so cute.
Oh, that's so cool. Can you tell this is just so foreign to me? I'm just like, tell me all the things.
Well, the paparazzi thing was like kind of just like, they moved me out to LA. I met some really great people there. And actually that was the catalyst for starting getting into weddings. Was I started working with a former paparazzo that had worked with me at this agency. And there was kind of like a scattering of people leaving. And he was like, I'm going to start shooting weddings. And I was like, that sounds fun. Can I come and help you? Like one time, that might be fun to do. And I'd like to get back into photography because I never thought I would be a professional photographer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I started shooting with him. Sorry, that was like way off topic.
No, that was great. I actually
how I got into weddings.
Is paparazzo, is that the official
It's a
name?
singular. Paparazzi is plural. Paparazzo is a singular person.
So fun fact.
I see, then I am just a paparazzo.
Yes. So yeah.
Okay. I'll remember that. Well, just real quick, back to your dog. Wasn't your dog in some like commercials?
Oh yeah, my dog is like semi-famous. She's internet
my
famous.
mom would see that and be like, I think that's Casey's dog. Have you seen it?
So the thing that you have to learn about my experience living in LA, I lived in LA for 10 years, and it's a very small town. So once you start working in a certain industry, everyone knows each other and everyone kind of, gets connected to each other. And that was what really was a good thing for when I started my business was becoming friends with all these other people that were in the industry. And later on, I started working with a blogger, and I met this pet photographer who, like, you think I shoot celebrities. She's shot legit celebrities and their pets. And she was having a casting call that was like, hey, if you let me sell these images for stock photos, I'll give you a free photo shoot. And normally she charges like a lot for a photo shoot. So I was like, I'll do it. And now I see Olive like all the time, like on greeting cards and billboards, and I'll be online and like a Wells Fargo ad will pop up and it'll be my dog on there. There's been memes with her face around it. There's been news articles with her as like the header image. And it's so funny because like my mom will be out and she'll just be at Target and she'll be like, doesn't this dog look like Olive? And I'll be like, that is Olive. So,
That's
and
so
it's all
funny.
You'll have to send us some of those pictures. I mean, I know I've seen them, but.
Oh, she was also on the best one, I can't believe I didn't mention that, was a panty liner ad in Germany.
That's what I remember. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, man.
She's an always dog.
That's hilarious. I mean, a cute dog. Obviously, that would make me want to buy panty liners.
Anyway,
whatever works, right? You got to get attention online.
So back to your you kind of just like slid into the whole wedding industry, but then did you quickly realize after that you enjoyed it more than you thought? And like, how did that become more of what you really took on as what you do?
So, when I was working as a photo editor, I was kind of just in a place where I didn't know where that job would go. It was fun and everything when I was there, but it wasn't challenging. I wasn't in a very healthy working environment. I was on call 24/7. Like, I remember vividly it being like a Sunday night and I got a text message at like 11 p.m. that Whitney Houston died and I needed to get a photo gallery out as quickly as possible. So I had to like drop everything I was doing and get to work because God forbid this wasn't out right in when the news like hit that she was dead. So yeah, that it was a very stressful job. So I wanted to go into something that was the polar opposite of that and where I could make my own schedule and people were happy around me and didn't judge me for having this weird job that followed people around. So, I didn't necessarily want to shoot weddings at first. I just thought it would be fun. And it was kind of just me getting back into what I paid so much to go to school for, and it was accessible to me. I just enjoyed doing it. So, sorry, did I answer that question? I feel like, okay.
Do you have any memorable stories about a wedding you photographed or a favorite of yours that you could share?
Yeah. So a memorable one, which I guess is also a favorite. So when in the wedding photography industry, just like my magazine job in my head was like so glamorous. So being a wedding photographer sounds like fun, but being a destination wedding photographer and being paid to travel, like that was the ultimate. So in LA, that was always my goal. I didn't have a kid then. I wanted to travel and see things I wasn't really financially able to. And this kind of like sealed all the deals where I was like, oh, I get to travel and I get to shoot weddings and work and have this beautiful like gallery on Instagram. So I got the opportunity to shoot a wedding in Costa Rica last year. And it was like the perfect setup. My clients were beautiful. The bride was like stunningly beautiful supermodel. So both of them were so sweet, funny. And they wanted me to fly to Costa Rica with them. And they were going to have a small wedding on the beach. It was going to, it was a beautiful wedding. The wedding itself was memorable, but it was like the whole trip was the worst trip of my entire life.
Oh no, why is that?
So I it happened where I booked it and I thought I was going to be living in LA, and then I was living in Michigan by the time the wedding happened. So I had to fly from Michigan to Costa Rica, and we detoured in Fort Lauderdale. And I brought my husband along. He was shooting video with me. And I always carry my equipment on the plane with me. So I had my camera equipment, and I had my purse, and I checked my bag of luggage. And I get to Costa Rica, and they had lost my luggage. And so all I had on me was what I wore on the plane and my camera. And, oh, by the way, the flight to Costa Rica from Fort Lauderdale was delayed overnight for 12 hours, and we had to sleep in the airport.
Oh, my God.
So,
and with all that extra time, they couldn't get your luggage?
Yeah. So I get to Costa Rica like 24 hours later after leaving home, and I still have to drive 4 hours to go to the place where I'm supposed to be. And about a week beforehand, I had everything booked, and I checked in with the bride to like finalize the timeline. And on her timeline, it said a different date than what was on the contract. And it was like 2 days before. And I asked her, I was like, oh, is there a typo on this? And she was like, no, it's on Friday. And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was on Sunday. Luckily, we had planned to be at the resort by Thursday night, so that we would have the weekend there, and then we were going to go on later. But it was a very hectic, like, switching of plans. And so I basically got to Costa Rica and then had to shoot the wedding the next day without any luggage. I ended up shooting the wedding in a pair of plastic flip-flops and one of those like handkerchief dresses that you buy from like a beach.
Oh my gosh.
Store. Because literally there was nothing there in this. It was a little tiny beach town with like huts of like souvenirs. And so I shoot this wedding, and everything goes smoothly. It's a wonderful wedding. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, getting there, I just really learned a lot. I learned that no matter what, you should always pack a spare pair of underwear and something that you can change into aside from your plain outfit. Yeah.
Good thing you always carry your equipment with you.
Thank God. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I can afford to lose like clothes. I can't really afford to lose my livelihood of thousands of dollars of stuff, you know?
Like a really bad rom-com movie. I mean, you were with your husband, so you already have your true love, but everything was going wrong.
Yes. And you can imagine that, you know, with your husband where everything's going wrong, it wasn't like the most pleasant of travel experiences, but it was fine. We had a good time. We ended up meeting up with friends later, and it was good. It was a good time. And I'm glad that we went, but it was very stressful getting there. And it made me realize that I didn't really want to be a destination wedding photographer anymore, because they don't talk about that.
Well, I wanted to ask, how did you get into being this desired wedding photographer? Obviously, you said you were in LA for 10 years. And if this couple is flying you out to Costa Rica, you obviously had done something right in your career to get known by these people and to be booking all of these weddings. How did you grow that business in a place that you're not originally from? How did you make those connections and grow your business?
Well, I'm really, really cool.
So there it is, right there.
So right around the time that I started shooting weddings, I started during the week, I was an assistant for a very famous blogger called Oh Joy. And she's a lovely person, and I took photos for her, and she would tag me in them, and my following kind of like grew from there. And then it was really just between that and word of mouth I started working for a lot of different bloggers and Instagram influencers. I would shoot events and parties and stuff for them. So I really it was the networking probably. I don't really remember off the top of my head where that bride came from, but I mean, I've shot weddings all over the US too, from friends that I went to college with and that just trust me.
And you were in some like really big publications, weren't you?
Yeah. Through her and through Oh Joy, I was, and I got to photograph a book with her.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a really good experience. And she was just working with her was like the polar opposite of working at a paparazzi agency. It was just so much calmer and like, there were boundaries and I still had close friends and everything there, but it was different. It was not as stressful. So it was a happier work environment for sure. And I got to do really cool stuff. I got to meet cool people. I got to meet celebrities. I got to,
Can you tell us
really,
who you met?
Sure. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Jenna Bush. Sorry, I'm trying to think.
I know. I have trouble thinking of all the celebrities I've met as well. The list.
I shot a wedding that had Eric Andre and Nathan Fielder's a comedian, and just I don't know if you watched Tim and Eric. Yeah, there's no one like super giant. Oh, well, Real Housewives, I photographed Lisa Vanderpump.
Ooh, I was going to ask if you met any of the housewives. Of course.
I was like, wait, you did a Housewives reference, so yes.
Here. I just watched the New Jersey before we came on this recording. Where did you shoot Lisa? What was she doing? Like, we're on a first name.
I shot her for Star Magazine. A friend of mine was a journalist at Star, who I knew through the paparazzi agency. And so right when she went there, she was like, hey, would you want to shoot Lisa Vanderpump at, what's her restaurant?
Sir?
Not Sir. Not Sir, no, the first
Villa Blanca?
Yeah, Villa Blanca. So it was like a Thanksgiving spread at Villa Blanca, and she had her dog and everything. And
oh my gosh, you got to meet Jiggy?
Yes.
I am like such a super fan. It's so sad. Like, in every episode, we do like favorite things or when, I don't know.
I feel bad that I like don't remember the name of the dog. I don't watch Housewives, so
it's like my guilty pleasure.
So
like, you're just like making my day just hearing these crazy stories. I actually did want to ask though, did you ever shoot someone or were you ever like at an event where you I mean, I'm assuming you kind of got used to being around some of these people. And so you weren't just like starstruck all the time. But was there ever like a person that you were just like, oh my gosh, can't believe I got to meet them?
Yes. Well, a few times. Oh, you're putting me on the spot now, though.
Kelly Kapowski.
Kelly Kapowski was like, I tried to be cool, but I'm sure I was blushing the entire time. Oh my God, I wanted to be her growing up. I don't know. I met Alec Baldwin once. He was like just a presence in and of itself.
Were a lot of these weddings or just like Lisa's where people needed you to shoot?
Events. The only wedding that I ever went to that had a celebrity there that I knew of, well, there were a couple, but they were like, I recognize stand-up comedians. I must like really love stand-up comedy. I do love stand-up comedy, but it's mostly comedians that I would like see and be like, oh my gosh, that is, Eric Wareheim or whatever. Or Eric Andre came up and I shoot with a Hasselblad and he like told me my camera was cool. And I was like, oh my God.
It's so funny.
But yeah, probably Alec Baldwin was probably one of the more whoa, that is a really famous person that I am around right now.
I need to ask, since we're just on the topic of, like starstruck Hollywood men, I don't know. I I was watching a movie earlier with my girls. They're really into A Dog's Purpose, really anything with animals. But Dennis Quaid is in that movie, and like I just feel like he's so handsome. Like for an older guy, he's like my older celebrity crush. Like I just think he's such a hunk, even though he's probably like could be my grandpa. So I just wanted to ask, who is your celebrity crush? Both of you.
Like growing up?
Like now, I don't know. Growing up now, like
currently, I would say Tom Hardy is my celebrity crush. He's really, really good looking.
I don't know the name of him, but the guy that's in Pitch Perfect.
The funny one?
No, not the one that. No, like
not the one from Workaholics.
Love interest.
Oh, Ben. Oh, no, that's the other.
I don't know his name.
I don't know.
Yeah.
See if you became famous after 2012, I don't know what your name is. That's pretty much the rule. Because I don't have to.
No. I mean, this is just flashbacks, Casey, to us like at your mom's house watching all the teeny bopper movies and Friends when it was actually like on real time. But anyway, I just don't know anyone's name because I don't have a good memory.
Yeah, I don't have a good memory anymore either. It's literally sucked out of me.
Who's your crush right now?
I'd be useless in the paparazzi world now.
Well, what brought you from California to Michigan?
Well, I got married, and at our wedding, my husband and I had been talking about moving out of Los Angeles to start a family and just settle down more because it's expensive in LA and it's very much a grind. Like there's no breaks. You have to leave the city in order to feel like you have a break. And it was great in my 20s, but I couldn't imagine raising a family there. It's just a lot harder in general for everyone to raise a family there. I could never picture my kids like riding their bike and stuff. And so at our wedding, during our first dance, my husband was like, I think I'm ready to move. And I was like, okay, let's talk about it after, let's talk about it when we get back to LA. And the week after our wedding, I was shooting a wedding and we had bought a brand new car with the money that we got from our wedding. We were going to drive it back with our dogs to Los Angeles. And at this wedding that I was shooting, the week after my wedding, 3 days after I bought this car, the caterer's bus went down a hill right into the back of my brand new car. And so we couldn't drive it back to Los Angeles. So my husband stayed in Michigan for 6 weeks with his mom and our 2 dogs while this car got fixed. And I flew back to LA, and I kind of had a universe is telling me something kind of realization. And I was like, all of our stuff is in Michigan. Your family's in Michigan. You grew up in Michigan. You love Michigan. We should just move to Michigan. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I think that's the best place to choose to move. It's not impossible to start my business over. People get married everywhere. And he can work remotely. And he's an animator. So there was actually like a good scene here for him in motion graphics and everything. So, and he had started working here while the car was being fixed. So anyway, I packed up our entire house in LA and we moved at the end of September to Michigan.
Is that just this September?
Oh no, September 2017. So 2 years ago.
Okay. Do you feel like you're very brave, Casey? I feel like you make very brave, bold moves.
No, I just do it and I go into it. I'm an optimist. I go into it and with the sense that everything's going to turn out okay, but it scares me. It does. Like everything scares me. It scared me to go, it scared me to leave my job at O'Joy and go full time with weddings. It scared me to move across the country both times. it scared me to have a baby. So yeah, everything I do is kind of scary, but those are the things that you have to go after, because
Yeah,
those are
you're
like,
doing it. That's awesome.
if you didn't go after the scary stuff, then you would just stay comfortable forever and not do anything.
Yes. I love the quote. I was just telling the girls on my team about this. The quote is, growth and comfort cannot coexist. So when you're in a growing period, or like when something big is happening, like you're going to be uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And luckily so far, I haven't regretted anything that I've done.
Well, that's awesome. I cannot wait to hear more about your story and ask you more questions, but we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Hey Thrivers, today's episode is sponsored by Rachel Klein Marketing and Creative. That's right, that's my own personal business. If you've listened to the show, you probably heard me talk about mom life and business a lot, but you might not know what I actually do. Well, since 2014, I've been designing websites and offering social media marketing services for small businesses. I work with companies here in PA and across the United States, and it's my goal to help small business owners grow their online presence with social media, SEO, and responsive website design. If you've been considering a new website in 2019, I want to personally invite you to schedule a consultation with me to review your existing website and receive a quote for a new mobile-friendly website that will highlight your skills and your services. You can find all the details at rachelkleincreative.com or email me at rachelkleincreative@gmail.com. Simply mention the Thrive Podcast. Welcome back, guys. This is Rachel and Christine, and today we are joined by Casey Brodley, and she is a photographer, a videographer, and she's been sharing with us some of her, run-ins with celebrities and what it was like being a photographer in LA. But we are going to move into some of the changes she's experienced in recent years since moving from LA to Michigan to be with her husband's family. And I just want to know what that transition was like.
Well, luckily it was a lot easier than what I could imagine a transition to a different city where we didn't know anyone. We had a really good base of people, of family and friends that were here already, a good support system. And my family is still on the East Coast, so it was closer to them. It doesn't take like a full day. So overall, my transition was pretty smooth. I couldn't have asked for anything better. I did do some things to like jumpstart my business, because there was like a, oh my God moment where I was moving and I didn't have any industry here that I could, I couldn't just call my friends and be like, hey, send me a referral whenever you want. Like I had to really do my research and put myself out there. But overall, mentally, it was a good move because we did have a support system here already in place.
Do you feel like it was harder or easier to establish your business in Michigan than in LA? Because you were obviously more seasoned coming into Michigan, but LA just seems like such a big pond. Which
it was different. I think that I had an advantage coming from Los Angeles to here, in the sense that I already had a portfolio. I was successful in LA, so people could easily trust me here if I could be successful in Los Angeles and have, a good portfolio and have worked with, celebrities and stuff like that. I didn't really photograph many celebrities, but I did meet a lot of them. But anyway, having a career there definitely helped to transition and let people kind of trust me. And my style was completely different than a lot of photographers here. Coming from sunny Los Angeles, it was just bright and colorful, and here it's mostly winter time, and so people don't see a lot of colors, I guess. I don't know. But the style here was definitely like more sultry and like serious, and here I come and I'm like this quirky, whimsical kind of photographer. So I think that helped a lot too. Um,
And do you still do mainly weddings now?
I do, yeah. Like I would say 90% of what I do is weddings. I just kind of made it my focus when I came here. That's the bread and butter, and I only have to be away from my family for 1 day a week. So
Yeah, that's awesome. How has that changed since you've had your baby? You said you have a little baby boy. Is that right?
yes, his name is Stone. He's 8 months old. Things that have changed. Well, I get a lot less sleep now. I take care of him during the day. I think next year I need to actually like get a nanny or something to help me out. But I really, really, really wanted this first year to be there and like see everything. And my schedule's so up in the air that it was hard for me to even like think about daycare. So I'm with my son during the day, and then once he goes to bed and we eat dinner and everything, I sit down to work, and I work until about midnight, and then get up the next day and do it all over again. So it's definitely a little bit of a harder juggle with him, but I just love every second of it.
Oh, that's so good. Do you ever take advantage of nap time? Is he on a consistent schedule where you can at least like?
Well, naps are, I think I told Christine a few weeks ago, naps are a little bit up in the air. Some days they're like 30 minutes long. Some days they're 3 hours long. And so like sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay, he's finally down for a nap. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to get some work done. And then I put on the monitor, and then as soon as I sit down and turn on my computer, he's up in his crib, like dancing in his crib. I'm like, why are you sleeping? Oh my gosh. So
you think you have it figured out, or like 2 days in a row, if there's a pattern, you're like, okay, here's what I can expect.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not on a consistent schedule. I know around the times that he goes to sleep, and I know around the times that he wakes up, but it's kind of a crapshoot on a day-to-day basis, really.
How old is he now again?
He's 8 months old.
Okay.
Where did you come up with the name Stone?
Well, I wanted a unique name that was still strong, and my husband's last name he's always explaining how to say it, so I was just like, I need something that you can read it and say it, so he doesn't have to explain like all of his name. He just has to like explain one part of his name. So and I wanted like a unique name for a boy, which is really unusual, in general. I feel like girls' names can be more creative, but boys kind of have more traditional names. And but I didn't want him to hate me when he was like 40 years old going into a job interview or something, or like a meeting, and be like, so yeah. So I feel like I didn't want to get too creative. So anyway, Stone, I think we just talked about a bunch of different names. My husband wanted kind of like he wanted it to sound like a rock star or a biker. And so he was like going like Rocco and all this stuff. But yeah, Stone just seemed to fit best for us. It was one of the only names that we could agree on. So we didn't tell anyone that name. We didn't tell anyone that name because we were like, we don't want anyone to ruin it for us. This is the name. It took us a long time to figure it out. So yeah.
What's his middle name? Does he have a middle name?
His middle name is Brodley.
Oh, so I know you as Casey Brodley, but what is your last name then? What's your husband's last name?
My husband's last name is Mayuri, Maiuri. So it's a lot of vowels. And yeah, so when we were talking about names, he was actually the one that suggested my last name to be Stone's middle name.
Okay.
Because he was like, I think it would be nice. I wrote a blog article about why I didn't change my last name. And one of the reasons was because I'm the very last Brodley in my family. There are no boys in my generation of kids. So it was kind of sentimental for me to keep it. So he was kind of inspired by that. And he was like, I think that your name should go on at least one more.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I bet that meant a lot to you and your family.
It almost made me cry just now thinking
I
about
bet.
it.
Oh my gosh.
He's very thoughtful. So he, that meant a lot to me. And
How did you guys meet, by the way? Did you meet in LA?
we went to college together, and then we met in Los Angeles through friends in college. And we actually had like similar groups. We rotated in similar circles, but we don't ever remember meeting each other. And so I'm like, one day I'm going to go through like a bunch of old photos from like a college party, and I'm going to see him in the background of one of the pictures. But yeah, we didn't actually meet until we both were in Los Angeles. We happened to end up there.
Now, when you were, living it up in Los Angeles in your 20s as a photographer, did you always see yourself as wanting to become a mom? Was that always something new?
Yeah. When I started dating my husband, he was like, I want 6 kids. And I was like, well, maybe 2. But but now, I always wanted to be a mom. I always liked kids. I wanted to photograph kids and families and weddings and families. I'm around families for work, so I always loved kids. So
that's so funny that your husband was the one that said he wanted all these kids. Does he have a big family, or is he like, what is his age compared to your age? Like, is he older or younger? Because I feel like a lot of guys, at least it's like, I feel like it's more common that like the woman is the one pushing for like the family and starting with the kids and things like that.
I'm older than him, but not by much, like 8 months or something.
Okay.
But he has a big family now. It's bigger than mine. I'm an only child. He has
it's not hard to be bigger than that.
Yeah. He has a sister, younger half sister who's 14, 2 stepsisters and a stepbrother. And I think that's everyone.
Well, that's a big family.
Yeah.
So happy median. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 children for the 2 of you.
Yes. So he's like, oh, one's fine, one's good. And I'm like, maybe you want 2. And so we keep going back and forth between having another one. But right now we're still in the baby mode where everything's blissful and wonderful. And
that's when you got to do it. You got to get pregnant again before you get out of that. Like, otherwise you're going to be like, we're never doing this. Like, don't wait till you're potty training. You'll never have more kids.
Yeah. Well, my sister-in-law actually just had a baby yesterday. So I have a nephew now, and we went to go visit him, and like, there was so much joy in my heart, but I left the hospital and I was like, man, I'm really glad I'm not bringing home a newborn. Like, if I had to go through, I was just like having like a random PTSD moment where I was like, oh my God, newborns are so much work. I'm so glad that I don't have to do that right now. So I'm just recovering from this one, but I understand that. Just rip the Band-Aid off, get it all over and done with.
Yeah, I think that's the strategy we used. All my kids are like real close together because
my baby's also so good that I keep joking that the second one's going to be like a monster. So
you never know.
Not a monster. My first one's good. My second one's still really good comparatively. But like when she does things that are a little difficult, I'm like, that's not what we do here. Like, we follow the rules. We go to bed when I lay you down. So
my gosh, that's because Nora was like the easiest baby.
Yes.
Kristen's 2-year-old was like, she would sleep, and I was like, she alive? How's she still sleeping?
She loves sleep. So you never know. But Rachel has 3 kids. I have 2. So we both just had babies a little bit younger than Stone, and have definitely seen like how more kids can change the dynamic, but doing it like you are, trying to work through business and family life. And even with one baby, like, it totally changes the game. Mm-hmm. You've seen that. What do you think what have you seen has been an impact either with you personally or in your business since becoming a mom?
Well, before Stone came along, my business was my entire life. Like, it was my world. Every waking moment was spent thinking about my business. And that really was my baby. And it's not that I don't love working anymore. I still love work, but it's not my main focus or priority. When an email comes through, I don't have this feeling of like, I need to answer this email right away. Like I kind of put a boundary box around my life as a photographer. And like, I am still a photographer. I still, when people ask what I do, I say I'm a photographer, but it's not where my priority of focus is. It's not what brings me the most joy every day anymore. And that's really been the main change, really.
That's so good. I feel like it's a cool dynamic to hear your story, how you had an established business and then you had a kid. And so you kind of have these boundaries in place a little bit. I mean, just because from my own personal experience, for me, it was sort of the opposite. A lot of it was happening at the same time. Like I started freelancing and working for myself because I was pregnant and I had just gotten married. We just do all the things quick in our family. We weren't planning to get pregnant so soon, but since I did,
that's usually how it happens though.
Yeah. And so it just worked out that my husband was like, well, why would you even go back to work? Like we'd just be paying for the childcare. And so anyway, as my business has grown over the past like 5 years now, I've added 3 kids to the mix. So I did not understand.
Somehow you can do a podcast on top of all that.
It's just all the things. But the one thing I've learned is the boundaries thing is so important. And like, it's hard when things are busy and things are all happening at once. But yeah, if you have time and if you can plan and if you can step back and say like, this is what I need, this is what our family needs, this is what my business needs.
Right. And it's hard because, I don't book as much as I used to, both because I don't want to book as much as I used to be booked, but I also, I feel like as a bride, you want to know that your wedding is the most important thing, right? And to me now, because I don't answer emails right away, someone else might get chosen over me because, I didn't answer the email within like the hour and she didn't get that she was on a lunch break and she just wanted to find a photographer's, pricing list, and that photographer called her and I didn't see it until 6 p.m. and didn't get a response. Yeah. So it's little things like that where I'm like, those things have changed, but I'm finding that the clients that I'm working with now, I've always had the ability to attract the people that understand me and appreciate what I do and also understand that I still care, but I'm just not at their beck and call every five seconds, So
and that's a different spin too on like thinking about who your ideal client is or who your people are. Mm-hmm. In your position, it's not just who are the people that like I can serve the best, but that also are bringing you joy. And there's that reciprocal relationship going on.
Right. And I actually end up working with a lot of friends of mine. A lot of my friends and family hire me. I just shot my cousin's wedding a month ago. And I've had a lot of friends from college like fly me out to their weddings or hire me for their weddings. One of my very first college friends, I shot his wedding last year. So, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people put their trust in me because they understand me as a person is like not this business person that's a machine kind of thing. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah. I feel like this is such a great age too. You have a lot of friends and a lot of people that you are personally connected to who are in this stage of getting married. And I have a friend that does video for weddings, and she said that the one wedding they did recently, I was like, oh, like whose wedding is it? And she's like, oh, it's actually somebody who was a bridesmaid in like another wedding that we did a year ago. And from this one wedding, she said that her and her husband have literally done like 4 other weddings. Like every other person in their wedding party must have been engaged and they all booked them.
Yeah, so, but they also see you on the wedding day and they see how you present yourself and how you handle certain situations. And especially being part of the bridal party, like you're there with that person the entire day. I tell all my brides when I sit and talk with them, like, I don't care if you don't hire me. I want you to choose someone that you're comfortable with, that you feel like you could go and have a coffee or a drink with and sit down and like be friends with, because otherwise, if you're not comfortable around the person, that person's going to be following you around all day, and it's going to show on your face that you're uncomfortable, and you don't want to look like, strained in your wedding photos. So I think that shows a lot of how they presented themselves at the wedding if they were hired by people that were in those weddings.
Yeah, so true. Well, I want to move on to something that we do every episode. If you've listened to this show, then you might be familiar with this segment we call Favorite Things. You're nodding, so that's good. Do you want to share your favorite thing?
My favorite thing, it could be anything.
Yeah, anything.
Anything.
Right now, my favorite thing is our hot tub. We have a hot tub that came with our house when we bought it.
That's a really good favorite thing.
And it's so nice because my husband and I, like, that's our like kind of mini date. Some nights is like, we'll put the baby to bed, we'll eat dinner, and then we'll go and we'll have a beer in the hot tub and just like sit there and be like, relax. Because he works, he works so many hours and he works his butt off, and he really doesn't really get a break at all. And I don't know, it's just an instant relaxation type of thing. We don't really have bathtubs in this house. It's all showers. So it was nice to like know that we could at least go somewhere to like have a little bit of a relaxing time.
And I feel like a hot tub, unlike just sitting in your living room, like you're not going to have the TV there, or, well, my brother had a hot tub and it had a TV, but not like your phones or your computers, like very deliberate time, just the two of you.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You can't have your phone in there because it'll drop in the water. I would definitely drop my phone in the water.
Not safe. You two also for making that time for each other. Like, that's important.
Yeah, it is important. It is.
Nice. What about you, Rachel? What's your favorite thing?
I was just going to ask you, I had a favorite thing earlier and now I'm like drawing a blank. I'm like, what was my favorite thing going to be?
Now, because all you're thinking about is how to fit a hot tub onto your patio.
Yes. Yes.
Well, my favorite thing is more of a life stage with my daughter, my almost 6-month-old. She's almost starting to sit, but not quite. So she still kind of like slowly falls over. And so I just use like pillows to prop her up. But it's my favorite thing, like figuring out how to get her situated and just watching her learn to do that. And my older daughter trying to help her, AKA pushing her over. But it's just been a really sweet, like last few days of her figuring something new out and watching the two girls just kind of bond and hug each other. And yeah, I don't know. It's really sweet. Rachel, you've seen that a few times because your girls are older, and it's so yes, Casey, you need to have another baby. It's so sweet watching.
Oh, I know. I see siblings and we always go back and forth because sometimes we see siblings and it's like, oh my God, that's so much energy. I don't think I have enough energy for two. And then we see them be really sweet to each other and we're like, oh, that's so sweet.
It's amazing. I love it.
It's a mix. You get both. My girls are like at each other's throats one minute. And then like this morning they were fighting before school over a stuffed animal. And literally like my 2-year-old had this stuffed animal and my 4-year-old was like freaking out about it. She was in tears. And then finally my sweet 2-year-old was like, here you go, Ray Ray. And Reagan, like my oldest, like broke down sobbing and hugged her and was like, thank you. It was so ridiculous.
We always call Nora a Sour Patch Kid right now. Like, sometimes she's sour and sometimes she's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's very intense. We're on a roller coaster ride with the emotions.
Yes, there is a lot of drama at this age.
See the sweet moments and really think about the favorite parts because that makes the parts seem okay.
Yes. Well,
Rachel, do you have all girls?
I have 2 girls, 4 and 2, almost 3. So they'll be 3 and 4 for a while. They're only like 17 months apart. And then we have a 6-month-old and he's a boy.
Yes. The boys
he's
are
a sweetie. Yeah. Boys, I don't know what it is, but at least in my experience, he's the easiest.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I could do 2 boys, I think, if they're as sweet as Stone is.
Yeah. That's why I keep telling my husband we need one more, because I was like, we'll just have one more just like Robbie.
Oh my gosh.
But then he's like, how do we guarantee that? I'm like, just try it. Let's just do it.
Let's just try. I want it to happen.
Oh man. Well, Rachel, what is your favorite thing? Do you forget?
No, I remembered it.
Okay.
So my favorite thing when I was growing up, I was super into American Girl dolls. And my favorite thing is that I've just gotten them out. Like, I kept them all these years and I've just gotten them out, and my girls are like obsessed with them now. They're like playing with them every day. And I just think it's really cute watching them play with them, and they're too young. Like, when I was into them, I remember reading the books and like sort of understanding or liking like the historical ones. They have no clue. Maybe in a few years we'll read the books, but right now they just enjoy like dressing them up in like the modern clothing. And it's funny because I say like modern, but they're from like the 90s. So like the outfits that I have are like not so cool, but they like it.
It's coming back around.
Yeah.
I still have my Molly doll in storage.
Yes.
Here, because when I was pregnant, my mom was moving and she was like, oh, do you want the American Girl doll? I was like, yeah, if I have a little girl, I want to pass it down. And so now I'm like, well, maybe Stone will play with it, or maybe we just have to try for a girl. But I definitely have my American Girl doll still, so I understand all the clothes.
Yes, and they were so fun.
It was a big investment. It was a big investment. So
yeah. Yeah, I definitely saved them, and I saved some other like collectible type things. But yeah, it's fun when your kids actually start playing with them and like enjoying them. So favorite thing of the week. And I just had so much fun picking your brain, asking you about your celebrities that you run into.
I wish I could think of more, but I'm drawing a blank.
Well, if you
they all kind of blend into one big celebrity.
Post on your social media, tag us. We'll be like, oh, another one of Casey's run-ins.
We don't really get many here. Jack White, I've seen Jack White here. That was about it.
Who was that?
What about?
He's a musician. He was in the White Stripes.
Okay.
What about? Have you ever met the Backstreet Boys?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't. Don't be disappointed.
That's okay.
I went to Jessica Biel's restaurant, so that was like 1 degree away from NSYNC.
I didn't know she had a restaurant.
She might not have it anymore. I don't know. It's called O Fudge. It's in LA on Melrose.
Oh.
My dog is scratching at my door trying to get in.
Well, Casey, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your professional journey. And it was just so sweet hearing just your new take on things now since becoming a mom to little Stone. And I just love catching up and seeing where you are in life. It's so cool what you've accomplished.
Oh, thanks for having me, Christine. That was really nice. It was really nice to talk to you guys and meet you, Rachel. And
yes, thanks for sharing about your journey. And just for anyone else that might be in a place now that they're not sure they want to stay forever, or, how do you start a business over again? I think it is really inspiring to hear that you've done that. And it's really neat that there are a lot of careers you can have nowadays as a creative person that like you can easily take with you or work remotely. And yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So if you're listening, if you've enjoyed hearing us interview different business people, feel free to find Casey on social media. How can people get connected with you?
You can find me on social media. Let's see. Facebook is at Casey Brodley. On Instagram, it's at Casey Brodley. On Pinterest, it's at Casey Brodley. CASEYBRODLEY. Sorry. I try to be the same across all boards.
Well, you are cohesive. Well, Casey, thank you so much. I cannot say enough about this. I have flashbacks to watching the last season finale of Friends in your living room when we were seniors in high school.
Yes. It was just a couple of years ago, right?
Years ago. But man, you are so near and dear to my heart. And thank you for joining us. You're doing it. So proud of you.
Oh.
And mamas that are listening, I hope that you are encouraged today, no matter where you are in your journey, and know that you are doing amazing.
Thank you so much for listening today. You are a part of a growing community of moms, business owners, and women who are here to encourage and inspire. You can connect with Rachel at Rachel Klein Creative on Instagram or rachelkleincreative.com. To keep up with Christine and her latest events, follow her business journey on Instagram at Bellenberry Co. And if you want to be first to know about upcoming guests and giveaways, sign up for the Thrive Podcast email list today. Simply visit rachelkleincreative.com/The Thrive Podcast or follow at The Thrive Podcast on Instagram. If you've enjoyed listening this week or you've already added our show to your favorites playlist, we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes. Your support and positive feedback allows us to keep encouraging moms and business owners each week.